Hi, and welcome back to the Data Science Salon Podcast. If you are returning, welcome back, and thank you for being here again. And if you're listening for the first time, we're glad to have you here. Thank you for choosing the Data Science Salon Podcast. We know there's so many choices out there. I'm Anna Annison, your host and the founder of Formulated by, the home of the Data Science Salon. And today, joining us is Nitin Kumar, who's the director of data science at Marriott International. And Nitin brings over 20 years of IT experience and specializes in data science and AI, which includes generative AI and AI agents, which are really hot right now. And at Marriott, he leads the design and the deployment of enterprise scale data science and AI solutions across 30 global brands, which is huge, and really transforming how the company interacts with its millions of customers worldwide. And Nitin's work focuses on building AI powered customer support systems that operate around the clock. So, all the time, and really leveraging LLMs and AI agents and human in the loop workflows to really create intelligent, proactive, and personalized customer care, which is better for all of us customers. And he's also an industry judge for AI and tech awards and a published researcher with a master's in data science from University of Illinois, Urbana champion. And also you're a speaker. I know that you're very you're a great speaker. You had an amazing session here when we had our event just 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it's already 2 weeks already passed. And I'm really excited to chat with you in this episode to really explore kind of what you talked about at the event, really how AI agents are in action and really the future of customer support, because it's really, I feel like everything is changing and how this is being leveraged really for big brands like yours to amplify human capabilities while also enhancing customer experience. Nitin, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Mhm. So, Anna, I think the pleasure is all mine, and I would definitely, say that, like, when we talked about that, we want to have this podcast where I would like to, come on. I was really, looking forward for it because this is such a great platform to actually share your ideas, and you get a lot of cool or very insightful ideas and knowledge as well. So, I like. I'm out of this world now just to be on this platform because there is a great opportunity to learn, and always it's great to talk to like-minded people, because that way you kind of share the knowledge, you kind of gain the knowledge, so you kind of create the whole ecosystem healthy. So thank you for for this opportunity, I would say.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure. And thank you so much for being part of our community. And I would love to learn more about you. Let's start a little bit about maybe you could share your journey into data science and AI and how you came to lead the enterprise AI initiatives at the Marriott.
Absolutely. Uh, so the journey started back in, I would say, early 2000, where I kind of finished my bachelor's in IT, and then I got a job where I was kind of working back in, I think, 2005, where I was working on Siebel CRM initially, which is now an Oracle product. And so I started there as a software engineer and then did various roles throughout my career, like a business analyst, talking to the customers, understanding what the requirements are, solution architecting, kind of building a large scale, enterprise scale solutions. And then back in, I think, early 2000, maybe 12 or 13, I kind of, got, like, like we had some problem about our customer care group when in the company I was supporting, and we I think like IBM or some provider came to us and they kind of talk about the statistical methods, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, you kind of doing so much things with the unstructured data, and that's how I kind of get into the under the hood, try to understand more, and I started my journey there. And since then, I think, like, at that point of time, I would say that AI is not as cool as it is now. and people
Right.
really like to associate their projects with AI. But we kind of, started the journey there, and then kind of learned throughout, the different statistical methods that you can actually apply, and then started with basic, data science techniques like linear regression, logistic. Then, as the machine learning space evolved, so do I, learning about, the techniques like bagging, boosting, neural networks. And now, I think everybody talks about Gen AI, which is like the new, uh, new technology that kind of revolutionizing everything, and it's touching everyone. It has a tremendous potential to kind of solve the problems which were really hard to solve earlier. So then I kind of, back in like 2022, I believe, when the chat gpt came in, we were working on some problem that's related to, to our homes and villas, where, we were using the neural network lstm techniques to generate the text, but the quality was not that good. And this chat gpt came in, and we gave it a try, and it just blew everyone's mind because it was so good. And with few lines of code, you were able to generate so realistic, text. And then since then, I kind of started focusing on the generative ai. And then now I kind of managing, at Marriott, like how we can solve these business problems which were unable to solve through these large language models. So it span across, like, customer care, marketing, legal, sales. So it just spans across everywhere, and that's how, I kind of get into this. And I would say it's a natural progression, I would say, for me.
No, that's a really great story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And speaking of your work with AI agents and specifically on customer support, can
Mhm.
you describe for our audience the problem you were trying to solve and why traditional approaches were no longer really sufficient for that problem? Because I think that would be super interesting just to hear, because this is so revolutionary for this problem, you know?
Absolutely. So, let me paint a picture for you, right? So let's say you are a customer. So let's name it as John Doe, and he is in, say, Singapore. It's 12 in the morning, and he looks at his account and say, "Hey, I don't see the points which I, for the points I kind of um, acquired by staying in one of the properties. So what's going on?" They send an email, right? And then what happens next, right? So I would say for the next 10, 15 hours, nothing happens, right? Because
Right.
the customer care, generally don't work 24 cross 7. And if they work, they may have other high priorities, emails or tickets to focus on. So the customer kind of like, who was or who is loyal to you, who has given the business to you, they feel like, they are ignored, right?
Right.
Now, other side of the coin, the associates who I highly regard, because they are the one who are kind of working with, day and night to get back to the customer as soon as possible. When they comes in, they see thousands of email every day, right? And a lot of these emails are of varied complexity. So some are very easy to respond, some requires, you know uh, uh, accessing to the multiple system, and some are even require more researcher as well, right? And these repetitive tasks, right, it can actually, kind of creates a lot of fatigue, because these can be solved or automated, or they can also, decrease the morale, right? Because the
Right.
associates are not able to, be able to delight the customer, because that's where their main intention is, right? They just wanted to make sure the customer is happy, and they kind of have, all their issues are resolved, right? So, and then it kind of creates a, expectation mismatch, because customers like these, with all of this technology, the attention span is reducing drastically. So the customer wants to get the response as soon as possible. They don't want to wait like days or hours, right? They want like immediately wherever they are. And then for the associates it's a problem because they may have to access different knowledge sources, right? So that's kind of the problem we are trying to solve here, like through agentic solution, that how we can actually make this whole ecosystem so self-sufficient that it kind of creates the balance that it should be able to solve these repetitive tasks. Plus it can also give a human touch as well, right? Because think about a situation where you had your anniversary dinner and it kind of somehow was not up to your mark, and then you kind of disappointed. And instead of me just sending you a standard template message, we kind of have a human touch to it, right? So
Yeah.
we kind of through this problem we kind of say, okay, we can how quickly we can get that draft for the associate to look at it, and then they can actually work on top of that to kind of put a human touch or empathy and then be able to respond. So it's like the best of both the worlds.
No, that's a great answer. No, thanks so much for explaining it like that. And let's talk a little bit about human in the loop workflows, because it sounds like they're a key component of your design. How do you balance AI automation with also human oversight? Because I mean, obviously it's very important for quality and also empathy in customer interactions too, because I feel like AI sometimes can miss that part of
Hmm.
the conversation, or feelings
Hmm.
and things like that.
Hmm. Yes. So I think there is a notion that or a lot of people thinks that AI is gonna be replacing these jobs, and like I feel bad about it, right? Because the technology is kind of like a you can call that as a digital twin, because it's there to actually help you out. It's there to kind of take out the mundane or repetitive tasks from you, so that you kind of like the associates or human can kind of focus on the issues which are critical or that requires the humans to take a look at it, right? So I
Yep.
always wish like whenever you are building, you always like agentic solutions, for now I would say you always have to keep in mind that humans should be at the center of these solutions, right? You cannot just be an automated system where everything can just solve by itself, because it'll be unfair from a technology perspective, because you're trying
Mhm.
to expect deterministic solution from a non-deterministic, right? Because all of these LLMs are non-deterministic, meaning that you may not be able to get the same answer every time you ask, or it may kind of hallucinate, right? So human in the loop is kind of is really important. And the way you have to work it through is that when you're actually solving these problems, you can actually, let's say you get an email, right? You identify what are the different issues the customer is talking about. You kind of put a confidence level as well, that and categorization as well, that okay, this issue may be related to a complex problem, or this may be a key VIP customers, or this might be a legal matter, right? So all of these confidence level kind of help you how you want to route that request, right? So if it is a say VIP customer, or if it's a legal compliance issue, then you can actually instead of resolving by the agent itself, you kind of actually direct it to the queue where the associates kind of take a look and be able to respond to that. So and then you have these probabilities, or the scores, and then you have these queues where the associates can directly go and kind of work on. And then you kind of also kind of evaluate how the associates are be able to responding to that, because whenever you're building these systems you have to have a feedback loop, meaning that what you are showing to the like what you are creating at the first draft versus what was sent to the customer, there may be a differences, right? So how do you capture those? So there are some statistical methods that you kind of use to see what's the difference, and then use those to kind of do the fine tuning of the model, or kind of improving on those prompts as well. So it's very important to have the human in the loop, because you don't want to just build a system that just think and be able to respond to the questions which you feel are not the right way to respond, because you're kind of missing the empathy. You might create a problem for your brand as well. So it's always important to to know that whenever you're building, you have to have the human in the loop.
If you're enjoying listening to my conversation with Nitin, you'll have a chance to enjoy more content like this at our upcoming DSSSF event on November 6th, taking place at AWS Builders Loft in the middle of San Francisco. And this is a free community event. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Can't wait to see you all there. Visit luma.com/DSSSF. No, that's a great answer. I agree because, it sounds like it just doesn't work without it, without a
Mhm.
human.
Mhm.
Um, and can you talk a little bit about the role of LLMs and prompt engineering and ensuring consistent, accurate, and context-aware responses as well? Because I think that's
Mhm.
also very important.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I always, let's take a step back and talk about what are these agents, right? So are they just the LLMs, or they are, a little different, right? So I always, call these agents as digital twins of associates, because
Mhm.
they can reason through, because under the, hood, the brain, which kind of reason these is an LLM, right? And then it has a memory, to just like humans have, where you can have a short-term memory, long-term memory, which kind of holds the context, so that it kind of reason through those. And then it has a hands, which are like tools, which you kind of use to to solve that. So let's say if I send you an email and say, hey, what is my point balance, you can use the tool to actually query for that customer what is the account balance and be able to respond. So it's actually a digital twin, right? And then and then the prompting, it's nothing but, so LLM in itself is a powerful engine, and then the prompt is like a steering wheel. It kind of guide the LLM on what to look for, and how to drive, or what are the guardrails you want to put in, right? So prompting is very important. And then for our use cases, right, you always, there is no one model that fits everything. So depending on the user need, like depending on the circumstances, we used small language models, we use large language models. So the small language models is useful when you are actually trying to, when an email comes in, you want to parse it, you want to understand the sentiments, you want to understand the key issues which are very specific to your domain. You want to extract the intent. All of those can be useful through small language models. And then the large language models, where you have to reason through, you can actually be able to use the large language models. So large language models play a vital role in the overall landscape of this. And then through the promptings, you kind of be able to guide the brand voice, like in which voice you want to respond to the customers. You can actually enforce the compliances. You can be able to tell what to say, what not to say. So all of those things kind of loop into the prompting, and then you kind of version it as well, so that you kind of test, like do a A/B test to say, okay, these prompts work better for these scenarios, this prompt works better for these kind of scenarios. So it's always important to have the prompt versioning, as well. And then for any large language models to work on, right, for these kind of problems, you have to provide the context. And how do you get the context? You kind of maybe build a RAG based solution, which is like a retrieval augmented generation. So you kind of feed into these language models, and then these language models, since they are excellent with reasoning, they can actually reason it through those chunks of information and be able to respond. And then, and since it does have the memory, it kind of understand the overall context. So I would say, the role of LLM is an important for agentic, because that's the brain, that's the thinking power, that's the reasoning tool, and then prompt is like, guiding what to do and how to do, so that you kind of come to the, to the finishing line.
That's a really great way to describe it. Thank you so much. And let's say that we want to implement AI agents in our customer service support, right? And it seems like that is a really common use case. Most businesses, medium to large, right, even small, sometimes have customer support. What are some practical lessons and maybe pitfalls and things to keep in mind of what not to do, when you're doing this?
Hmm. Uh, that's an interesting one. Yeah. So I would say there are a few things that you always have to remember, right? So I would say that whenever you are building these solutions, right, you should never let the LLM be on the driving seat, meaning that it can, like if you give any text, it will be like, that's how they are built, like they will be able to respond to it, right? So it's not like, they'll say, I don't know, it may be, responding something which may not be the right way of doing it. So whenever you're building these solutions, you always have to ensure the grounding is important. It's like the evidence is right, so that if any time it's generating something, it's coming from either your policies, either your knowledge management sources, or some kind of a documentation versioning, so that you kind of backtrack it, right? So always important that evidence first, and LLM, not the LLM first, right? Because you always make sure whatever the sources you are using, the LLM should, the text it's generating should cite it, that okay, this is the text I used from this citation or this knowledge management article. So that's the first one. The second one, which I think is it's very important and people kind of overlook, is the safety or the guardrails, right? Because people think it's like a checkbox, but it's not. It kind of like a make or break of the system, right? So always ensure you are kind of protecting your systems from jailbreaks, or prompt injections, profanity. You're talking about the PII information. You're not just sharing key or vital information of the customers. Um, Policies, like let's say if you build an agent that may be able to reimburse a customer some amount, right? But if you keep it open, it can reimburse like say $1,000 or $100,000 by accident, right? So always have to be yeah. I mean, yes, if you just give the tool, right, to
Yep.
the to the blank access, it can make mistakes, right? So it's always important to put a cap on that, that okay, you should be only allowed to approve say $50 or $30, or some criteria has to be there, right? And then scale with confidence. What it means is that since you have these issues and you have the probabilities or the confidence score, like how likely these agents can be able to solve it through those sources or citations, based on those thresholds to you define, right, which route to pick from. If it is like the agent is a very highly confident because these issues it has solved in the past, you give it a score and say, okay, since say if it is, if the threshold is greater than 90%, let it just solve by itself. But if the threshold is say between 60 to 90, let put it in a specific queue. Or if it is just like even less than that, just straight away pass it to the associate. So always have these checks and balances to ensure that it's not just go wild and be able to solve everything. You kind of, depending on the confidence, you kind of decide which route to pick. And setting these thresholds, it's a little tricky. So that just comes, there is no like a golden rule, but it kind of depends on the domain and the kind of problem and the appetite you have to take the risk. So all of those things will be into consideration. Then only like when you are testing it, you kind of decide those thresholds. I would say maybe for initially when you are building, start very conservative. Everything has to go through the to the human, and then based on the kind of edits they are making, you kind of decide those thresholds. And then last but not the least, I would say, is the human in the loop. Like whenever you are building these systems, always have the human in the loop, right? Because that's the way to success. So in short, it's the evidence you have to think through, the safety or the governance, the confidence thresholds, and then the human in the loop, I think, are the kind of the key learnings I kind of learn, and the pitfalls you have to keep in mind.
No, that's a great answer. And it sounds like the human in the loop is very important. So even in customer service, those jobs are
Mhm.
not going away. They're just going to be more efficient, right? Like, and more,
Absolutely.
just more helpful, really, right? For the problems that people have. So it sounds like a win for everybody. Um,
Absolutely. And just to add, right? So I mean, people think that it's us versus AI, but that's never the case, right? It's always us and the AI, because they
mhm.
can kind of complement the task which feel, mundane or boring to us. They can work 24/7, right? So we can just focus on things which are really important.
Yep, that's a great way to put it. And that's a great way to also, end with this question. Looking forward, how do you see Gen AI and agents and SLMs and LLMs transforming customer service across industries in the next 3 to 5 years? Because I think that's going to be major.
Oh,
But
I would
how?
say
In which ways? Yeah.
I wish we in the next 3 to 5 years we have agents. They just work 24/7, and we'll sit in beach and drinking our margarita or something.
That
but
would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. But I think, on a serious note, there are so few areas I think the LLMs kind of shine, or these agentic solutions can shine better. So all the touch points the customer can have with the company, be it IVR, where they just call, or be it the chat, where they just want to chat, or these emails, right? All of these spaces, I think, will get used or implemented a agentic solution. So think about this, right? Right now, if you call an agent, like a company, it goes through the IVR, and then you say one for this, two for that, or or you. There are now a little bit more sophisticated way, and you can actually talk a little bit of natural language, but it's not that great now with these agentic solutions. And the the voice piece of this will get much and much better, meaning that when you are calling these help desk numbers, the agents will pick up the phone. These AI agents will pick up the phone. They understand what tone you're talking about. They understand what problems you're talking about, and then they can actually, with these tools or arms, they can actually go and solve these problems for you. So
Right.
the agent, like the IVR, will get impact, get benefited from this. Same way with the chat as well. Like as you're typing in these chats, the the agentic solution will be able to understand what is the intent of that chat, and
Mhm.
how you can actually solve these problems through this agentic solution. And then if it feels like, oh, these are the problems I cannot solve, it kind of pull in the associates with a nice summary, so that they don't have to repeat it and say, hey, can you repeat what was the problem that you were talking about. Instead, it gives them the nice summary. They can take a look and then be able to act upon. And then email, as you know, we kind of have already talked about. And then the last piece, which would be the best piece, I would say, towards, say, the the year 5, is the omni channel, right? So when
Right.
it doesn't matter which channel you reach in. So the agent can understand, hey, you started with the email, that issue was not resolved, you tried to solve it with the chat, it didn't work out, you called us, so we are extremely sorry about that. So they kind of have all these details, and then be able to resolve it by themselves. And So that omni channel, I think, would be the best experience the associate gets, because, or associate as well as the customer gets, because they don't have to repeat every time they kind of talking to a person that, okay, it started this and then I did this. We all have seen that, right? Like every time there's change the associate, transfer to a different associate, we kind of have to start the whole thing again. So
Yeah, and it
omni.
sucks. It's very annoying. It's like, yeah, so if it could just solve that, that would be life-changing for the customer.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, so I think that would be the best piece, I would say. We'll be able to see in the next few years as this technology is evolving and kind of spreading across these things.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And Nitin, thank you so much for sharing your insights into AI agents, Gen AI, and enterprise scale customer support. It's inspiring to hear how you're leveraging this tech to amplify, the human capabilities and also improve customer experience and provide real actionable insights to support the leaders. And for our listeners, be sure to stay tuned for more episodes exploring how AI and data science are transforming businesses, and follow us to catch the latest conversations with industry leaders like Nitin. And don't forget to share this episode with your network.
I absolutely recommend Anna's all the sessions. If there are any live meetups, do go, because she's the best. I would say this is in simple words. I would say.
Well, thank you so much, Nitin. It was such a pleasure. And to all of our listeners, have a wonderful rest of the week. And we'll see you at the next meetup, podcast, or webinar. We can't wait.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
If you're enjoying listening to my conversation with Nitin, you'll have a chance to enjoy more content like this at our upcoming DSSSF event on November 6th, taking place at AWS Builders Loft in the middle of San Francisco. And this is a free community event. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Can't wait to see you all there. Visit luma.com/DSSSF.